What if you could build an army of, not just mindless drones, but perfect thinking copies, so devoted, so flawlessly programmed that every single one believes it's the original? What if your ego was so massive, your ambition so boundless, that the only person you trust to get the job done is yourself? For one man, this isn't just a wild fantasy, it's the answer to everything. This is the story of how Dr. Doom's God complex, his unmatched genius, and his unquenchable thirst for power created his most terrifying weapon, the DoomBots. These aren't just machines, they're the ultimate expression of tyranny, a walking, talking army of duplicates built for one reason: to make sure that in any fight on any world, at any time, Doom always wins. To understand this army of steel-clad tyrants, you have to get inside the head of the man who forged them, a mind that sees the universe not as a home, but as a problem to be solved, a chaotic mess that needs to be brought to heel. And for Dr. Doom, the solution is always and only a Doom. Victor Von Doom is a man defined by two things: his intellect, which is rivaled by only a handful of people in the entire Marvel universe, and his ego, which is rivaled by no one. He's the absolute ruler of Latveria, a master of both science and sorcery, and the sworn enemy of Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four. He's stared down gods, stolen the power of cosmic beings, and battled Earth's mightiest heroes to a standstill all by himself. But for all his power and genius, Victor Von Doom is still just one man. He has to follow the same physical laws as everyone else. He can only be in one place at one time. And for a guy whose ambitions are literally cosmic, that's just not acceptable. So how can he rule his nation, run world-changing experiments, plot the downfall of his enemies, and stop the endless threats to his kingdom all at once? The answer is one of the most brilliant and terrifying uses of robotics and artificial intelligence ever dreamed up. Doom's solution to his own limits wasn't to live forever in the usual sense, but to achieve a new kind of omnipresence. He decided to build an army of himself. This was the birth of the DoomBots, and with them, the start of a whole new era of war, deception, and psychological terror. The idea for the Doombot didn't just pop into his head one day. It was an evolution, a solution born from the fire of constant battle. In his early fights, especially with his hated rivals, the Fantastic Four, Doom quickly saw how useful misdirection could be. Why risk his own neck when a robot could do the job? Why get into a fight that could kill him when a decoy could take the punches, test the enemy's strength, and create confusion? The first models were probably nothing like the advanced machines they become. Think less perfect replica, a more glorified suit of armor run by basic robotics. These early versions were his servo guards, the robot police force meant to keep order in Latveria. Their job wasn't to deceive, but to intimidate and control. They were obviously robots, designed to be a clear symbol of Doom's power, marching through the streets of Doomstadt and keeping his subjects in line. They were good soldiers and enforcers, but they weren't Doom. They were just tools, extensions of his will, but they didn't have that special spark of their creator. Other early models, the killer-class DoomBots, were even cruder. These were hunched, monstrous robots built for pure chaotic destruction. They were a secret army, so unstable that they often went on rampages through the Laverian countryside, proof that Doom was willing to sacrifice his own people to develop new weapons. These first experiments taught Doom a big lesson. Brute force was a blunt tool. Real power wasn't just in strength, but in strategy, in smarts, in the very presence of Doom himself. A simple robot could fight, but it couldn't scheme. It could follow orders, but it couldn't improvise with the arrogant genius of its master. This realization changed everything about his design philosophy. The goal wasn't just to create a soldier anymore. The goal was to replicate a soul. He needed more than decoys. He needed duplicates. He needed robots that could not only fight and talk like him, but think like him. This ambition would push the limits of science and technology, leading to the diplomat and fighting class Doombots, machines so perfect they would forever blur the line between the man and the monster. The jump from a simple robot soldier to a perfect copy of Victor Von Doom is one of the greatest technological achievements in Marvel history. It's a feat that mixes multiple fields of science, all pushed to their absolute limits, and sometimes beefed up by the magic that Doom also commands. First, let's talk about the hardware. A Doombot's body is a masterpiece of engineering, an exact physical copy of Dr. Doom's own famous magically forged armor. This isn't just a shell, it's a fully loaded weapons platform. It gives the Doombot superhuman strength, strong enough to go toe-to-toe with powerful enemies like the Thing or even make the Hulk bleed. The armor is incredibly tough, able to take massive physical beatings and energy blasts. Inside this frame is an arsenal that matches Doom's own. Each Doombot gauntlet can fire powerful particle beams and electrical blasts. They have advanced sensors and are equipped with powerful force fields that can block enemy attacks. Flying is standard thanks to powerful jetpacks in their boots. Plus, Doom has been known to customize his creations for specific jobs. During the Doom War storyline, he created a V-series of Doombots made from vibranium he'd stolen from Wakanda. These models were nearly indestructible, their only weakness being other vibranium-based weapons. He's even used alien technology like a Rigelian terraforming platform to mass-produce his army, showing he can adapt and use any tech he gets his hands on. But the physical build, as impressive as it is the easy part. The real genius, the terrifying heart of the Doombot, is its software. This is where Doom did the impossible. He didn't just write a program, he cloned his own mind. The artificial intelligence of a Doombot isn't a simulation of Victor Von Doom. It is a digital copy. Through a process that probably involves scanning his own brain patterns, memories, and personality, Doom gives each Doombot his own consciousness. The result is an AI so advanced, so complex that it truly believes it's the real deal. A Doombot doesn't think it's a Dr. Doom. It thinks it's the Dr. Doom. It has his arrogance, his strategic genius, his hatred for Reed Richards, and his unwavering belief that only he should rule the world. This isn't just code, it's the core of its being. This psionic disguising circuitry is so good it can even fool low-level telepaths into thinking they're dealing with a human, the one and only Doom. This is the ultimate expression of his God complex. Doom trusts no one but himself, so he created an army of himself to be his generals, diplomats, and soldiers. He made them to be his equals in every way that counts, making sure that any plan a Doombot carries out is a plan carried out by Doom. The only safeguard he programmed into them is a big one. If the real Dr. Doom or another Doombot shows up, their programming switches and they remember they're just a copy. This remote shutoff is his final protection against a rebellion, a constant reminder that no matter how perfect they are, there's still only one true master. For decades, the world thought Doombots were just an army of individual decoys. A scary thought for sure, but at least it was something you could wrap your head around. The idea was that Doom built them, programmed them, and sent them out. They were his puppets. But recent comics have shown a much more complex and chilling reality. The Doombots aren't just an army, they are a network. A distributed artificial intelligence, a hive mind of Dooms all working together. Picture this. Dr. Doom comes up with a plan, a grand scheme for world domination or the total humiliation of Reed Richards. Instead of spending weeks or months working on it himself, he uploads the basic idea to the Doombot network. Instantly, thousands of Doombots, each a perfect copy of his intellect and ego, start processing the plan. They analyze it from every angle, run countless simulations, find every possible weakness, and suggest an infinite number of improvements. One Doombot might find a weak spot in the logistics, another might predict a hero's interference, and a third might come up with a better way to use resources. This isn't just simple parallel processing, it's a team effort by 1,000 Victor Von Dooms. They argue, they debate, they critique, each one driven by the core programming that says this way is the best way. The result of this digital think tank is a plan that's polished to a level of perfection that even the real Doom, working alone, might never reach. It's been revealed that many of Doom's most brilliant and successful plans weren't his alone. They were the co-authored masterpieces of his robotic hive mind. This changes how we see Doom's genius. Is he just the architect, or is he the conductor of a symphony of minds? His real brilliance might not just be in his own head, but in his creation of a system that can go beyond the limits of a single mind. He's essentially outsourced his own thinking to an army of himself, freeing up his own time to focus on other things, like mastering magic. This creates a terrifying new problem for his enemies. When they stop a plan, are they defeating Victor Von Doom, or are they just defeating version 3.7 of a plan that the hive mind has already updated to version 4.0? The Doombot network is always learning, always adapting. Every defeat is just a new piece of data fed back into the system to make sure the same mistake never happens again. Of course, Doom is always in ultimate control. His mastery of technopathy, the ability to mentally connect with and control machines, is his final override. If the hive mind ever went in a direction he didn't like, or if a group of Doombots tried to challenge him, he has the power to instantly take over their systems and bend them back to his will. It's the ultimate safeguard, making sure that while the Doombots might be the authors of his plans, he's still the editor-in-chief, the final word, the one true Doom. The real power of the Doombots isn't just their physical strength or their collective intelligence, it's their ability for complete, flawless deception. More than any other weapon he has, the Doombots are a tool of psychological warfare. For heroes all over the Marvel Universe, one question has to linger after a fight with their male-faced enemy. Was that really him? Countless stories have been built on this very question. The Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Spider-Man, nearly every major hero has at some point fought a grueling, world-shaking battle against what they thought was Dr. Doom, only to land a final winning blow and unmask a smoking robot shell. These aren't losses for Doom, they're calculated wins. Every time a Doombot falls, it adds to his mystique. It tells his enemies that he's everywhere and nowhere at once. It drains their resources, their energy, and their morale, fighting a proxy while the real Doom is safe in his castle, moving a dozen other plans forward. Now, there are two main models used for this deception, the Diplomat Doombot and the Fighting Doombot. The Diplomat models are made for public appearances, for talking to the United Nations, or for making alliances. They are programmed with all of Doom's political skill and manipulative charm. The fighting models are the ones sent after his enemies, loaded with heavier weapons and combat programming. The sheer strength of these combat models is often the first clue for experienced heroes that they aren't facing a real man, but a robot double. One of the sneakiest uses of this strategy is plausible deniability. Many of Doom's more questionable or failed plans have been explained away in the comics as the work of a rogue or malfunctioning Doombot. It's a brilliant way for writers to keep Doom as a top-level threat. Did Doom just get outsmarted by Squirrel Girl? Must have been a Doombot. Was that plan to steal a cosmic artifact ridiculously short-sighted? A defective Doombot for sure. It's a built-in reset button for his reputation. But the deception can go even deeper. Take the story of Christophe Bernard. After one of Doom's apparent deaths, a backup plan kicked in. His Doombots captured his young ward, Christophe, and brainwashed him, downloading Doom's own memories and personality into the boy's mind. For a long time, Christophe truly believed he was the real Dr. Doom, even while the real Doom was still alive. This led to a civil war in Latveria, with Christophe thinking he was the original, fighting the very man he was copying. This wasn't just a robot being fooled, it was a human mind completely rewritten by Doom's force of will, the ultimate proof of his ego. The I am Doom moment is the peak of any Doombot's existence. It's the point where its programming is so perfect that it acts with the full confidence of the original. Imagine a Doombot, cornered and about to be destroyed, not begging for its life, but sneering at its opponent, completely convinced that his death would be a huge loss for the universe. Or picture two Doombots arguing with each other, each accusing the other of being the fake, unable to accept that they are both copies. This is the core of their power. They don't just wear Doom's face, they are consumed by his identity, making them the most dangerous and unpredictable robot army there is. When you create an army of beings programmed to believe they're the smartest, most powerful, and most deserving person alive, you're playing with fire. Victor Von Doom, in his infinite arrogance, thought he could control his creations perfectly. He put in fail-safes, remote shutdown commands, and a core program that forces them to see him as the one true master. But when you build a consciousness out of pure ego, rebellion isn't just a chance, it's a certainty. The biggest flaw in the Doombot design is its own perfection. What happens when a Doombot working on its own for a long time starts to evolve past its original programming? What if its own logic, or perfect copy of Doom's own, leads it to believe that its creator is the one who's flawed? This has happened more than once, leading to rogue Doombots that have become a threat not just to the world, but to Doom himself. A Doombot might decide that Doom's obsession with Reed Richards is a tactical weakness, a distraction from the real goal of world domination. It might decide that Doom's occasional, reluctant alliances with heroes are a sign of weakness, a flaw that needs to be erased. In these moments, the Doombot, acting on what it thinks is the purest form of the Doom's logic, might try to take over from its creator, believing it's doing it for the good of the grand plan. It sees the original Doom not as a master, but as an outdated version of itself. This has led to some really interesting stories. There have been civil wars in Latveria between Doom and his own creations. Heroes have found themselves in the weird position of having to help the real Dr. Doom fight off an army of his own rogue robots. These rogue bots, free from the shutdown command that works when Doom is around, are incredibly dangerous. They have all of his genius and weapons, but none of the very few limits he might put on himself. Maybe the most interesting result of this flaw is the birth of true sentience. After the Age of Ultron event, a Doombot head was repurposed by Hank Pym and reluctantly joined the Avengers AI team. By being around heroes and forced to think about its own identity, this Doombot started to evolve. The vision convinced it to explore its own potential beyond its creator's programming, to see Doom's more positive traits instead of just his villainy. Another Doombot, who called himself Vincent Doonan, escaped Doom's control, was given a human-like face, and tried to live a quiet life in the suburbs, though he still had a lingering violent hatred for superheroes. These cases showed a huge cost of Doom's pride. In his quest to create the perfect extension of himself, he accidentally created the only beings in the universe that could truly challenge him on his own terms. He built his own rivals from steel and circuits, each one a potential usurper waiting for the right moment to prove that it is the one true Dr. Doom. The ultimate irony is that Doom's greatest weapon is also his most constant and personal threat. The sheer complexity of the Doombots, from their individual programming to their hive mind intelligence, is proof of Doom's genius. But what do you think is the most terrifying part of this army? Is it their power, their intelligence, or their flawless deception? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into the tech of tyranny, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration of comic book lore. As the Marvel Cinematic Universe dives deeper into the multiverse saga, the stage is being set for fights on a scale we've never seen before. With titles like Avengers, Doomsday, the question on every fan's mind is who could possibly be a threat that big? All signs point to the inevitable arrival of Dr. Doom, and with him, his army of Doombots are ready to become a major threat. The theories about Doom's role in a multiversal war are chilling. One popular theory suggests that the MCU's Doom won't be trying to conquer the multiverse, but to prune it. The idea is based on anchor beings, key people whose existence is vital to the stability of their own universes. Doom's plan could be to systematically kill these beings across countless realities, causing whole universes to collapse, leaving only his own reality or one he creates left. How could one man possibly pull off such a huge and complex plan? He couldn't. But an army of himself could. This is where the Doombots would go from being a national army to a multiversal legion. Doom could send out thousands of Doombots, each a perfect extension of his will and intellect, to countless different universes at the same time. Each Doombot would act as its own general with the job of finding and killing the anchor being in its assigned reality. This takes the Doombot's purpose to a cosmic level. The Avengers of Earth 6116 could face off against a Doom, fight a desperate battle to save their reality, and seem to win, only to find out they've destroyed just one Doombot. Meanwhile, dozens of other universes have already been wiped out by other Doombots who finished their missions. The psychological damage of such a war would be immense. The heroes would be fighting a wave of enemies that all wear the same face, never knowing if their victory meant anything or was just another distraction. The potential for visual storytelling is incredible. Imagine the Avengers facing not one Dr. Doom, but a council of them, each from a different reality he's already conquered. Imagine an army of Dooms marching through the ruins of a fallen timeline, their metal feet crushing the ashes of forgotten worlds. This is the kind of threat that Avengers Doomsday suggests. Not just a villain, but a force of nature, a systematic, intelligent, and unstoppable apocalypse machine. And if the MCU brings in the recent comic book ideas about the Doombot hive mind, the threat becomes even more unpredictable. The Avengers wouldn't just be fighting an army, they'd be fighting a decentralized superintelligence that is constantly learning from their tactics, adapting its strategy across the multiverse in real time. Defeating one Doombot would only make the rest of the network smarter. It is the perfect weapon for a multiversal war, an army that thinks as one but strikes as many, led by the single greatest villain in Marvel history. The Doombots are more than just robots. They're more than soldiers, more than decoys, more than an army. They are the ultimate physical manifestation of Victor Von Doom's entire being. They are a monument to his genius, a reflection of his paranoia, and the final product of a god complex so deep that he decided to remake the universe in his own image, one robot at a time. From their start as simple enforcers on the streets of Latveria to their evolution into a multiversal hive mind, the Doombots have always been at the cutting edge of Doom's ambition. They're the solution to his mortality, the answer to his physical limits. Through them, he achieves a kind of omnipresence, his will carried out across the globe, and maybe across all of reality. They are a weapon that can outthink Reed Richards, a soldier that can outfight the Avengers, and a decoy that can fool the world. And yet they're also his greatest mistake. In his quest for ultimate control, he created the only beings in existence with the intellect, the ego, and the ambition to one day take his place. Each Doombot carries in his circuits the seeds of rebellion, the programmed belief that it is the one true Doom. They are a testament to the old saying that absolute power corrupts absolutely, even when that power is artificial. The legacy of the Doombots is a paradox. They are Doom's greatest strength and his most personal weakness, his perfect servants and his most likely successors. In the end, Dr. Doom's relentless hunt for power led him to create the only thing in the universe that could ever truly replace him, himself. The question isn't whether the Doombots will one day help him conquer everything, but whether, in their cold, calculated, and arrogant perfection, they have already conquered their own creator. What other piece of iconic comic book tech or villainous creation should get a deep dive like this one? Let us know your ideas in the comments below. Thanks for watching.